Czy ty odpowiadasz za wydawanie leków?
Yes, indeed. Someone's got to keep Stellar Bay's people healthy and energized.
Wydajesz sobie z swojej pracy.
Oh, but I am. I get to see plenty of my neighbors here,
I
and
ciągle na haju.
really love a little gossip.
Okej. Dobra. Nie no, bo tu raczej więcej już nic nie ma, nie? Żeby wejść. No właśnie, tu już byliśmy. To już okrążyliśmy całość. No powiedzmy, że całość może. Dobra. Tu jeszcze nam coś zostało.
Get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today?
Gry prosi mnie, żebym zapytał o jego plakat z ciekarzami.
You know, sending you is the first bright idea I've seen from that man, because I told him to stop bothering me about it a week ago. I still don't know anything about it, but if you want to help him, Velma's the one to ask.
Oh.
She's in the warehouse.
Okej.
But I'll warn you, Grim wore her patience thin a long time ago.
Przypadkiem usłyszałem, jak mówisz o problemach z pieniędzmi.
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid.
Często przypuszczasz swoją pensję na organy raptodionów?
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really.
Dlaczego kupujesz to wszystko u Sebastiana?
So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else. Sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff, and some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell.
Mogę porozmawiać w twoim imieniu. Albo nie, może po prostu zaproś go na randkę.
I couldn't. What if he says no? Hey, maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, a no would still be bad, but it won't be quite as embarrassing if you ask. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work.
Chwilę, bo aż mnie to zaciekało. Co takiego widzisz w Sebastianie?
He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises.
Good to have standards, I guess.
I know what I'm looking for.
Okej. Naprawdę chcesz się związać z kimś, z kim nawet nie porozmawiasz?
You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny.
Dzięki, więcej mi nie potrzeba.
Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
No tak.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
Nie, to ty masz spotkanie ze mną.
You'd be a hit in Byzantium.
Did you hear that power play, Celia? They don't make them like this anymore in Halcyon. I only hope you don't judge me by my handshake. Now, what business brings you here?
Ja tylko szukam handlarza informacjami.
Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for Saltuna.
Jeśli jeszcze raz ktoś z tej zapuszczonej kolonii spróbuje mnie poczęstować jakimś posrannym eksperymentem naukowym udającym jedzenie, to przysięgam, że oberwie.
Yes, that's it. Channel your anger. I only wish I could do the same. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board.
Skoro pozbyliście się pozostałych korporacji, dlaczego mielibyście nie sprowadzić z powrotem?
Surviving alone isn't as easy as it looks. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
Czyli możliwość żebrania i kombinowania. O to chodzi?
Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour.
Exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future, but the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
What?
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
Coś w tym jest.
Indeed. Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Returning to the board is your only chance if you hope to survive here on Monarch. That doesn't mean it'll be easily achievable.
Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
Ta pani jest doskonale zorientowana.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
Świetny pomysł, ale jak zamierzacie to zrobić?
With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Ten cały wpół 52 brzmi intrygująco. Co to jest?
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
Never realized fighting the bureaucracy could be this interesting.
Dokładnie.
It is quite the rush.
Załóżmy, że zdobędziesz wpół 52. Jaki jest dalszy plan?
I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
Zabezpieczone jest. O kurde. Pójdę w takim razie po twoją kasetę.
Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Okej. Dobra.
What can I do for you?
Poznałem Grima, strażnika na lądowisku.
I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff?
Spisał się na medal.
Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?
Mam kilka pytań na temat MGG i starych, dobrych czasów.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes.
Jak w ogóle do tego doszło, że mi wyleciała z rady?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
Zaraz, chcesz mi powiedzieć, że doprowadziliście do usunięcia samych siebie z rady?
Not intentionally, though
Nani?
that's technically true. For
Debile.
many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1.
Terra 1 i Terra 2 musiały na tym główkować najpotężniejsze mózgi rady.
Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After all, the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like.
Here, though, the results were mixed.
And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
Ale nie MMGG.
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
Bardzo przyszłościowe myślenie.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
Ale zakładam, że kierownica nie przyjęła waszych pomysłów z entuzjazmem.
No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else.
A jednak tu jesteś.
Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI.
Must have pissed off some real big suits to get stuck with that.
On the contrary, I wrote lots of very important reports on behalf of top MSI officials before I was able to achieve this position. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
Ale jaki mieliby w tym interes?
I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
Właśnie dlaczego chcesz wrócić do Rady?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's nose at, Captain.
If you can't beat him, might as well join him and reach into their pockets.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation.
Czekaj, chyba wszystko jest lepsze od życia pod butem korporacji.
I fear the MSI citizens who've been dissolved into Raptidon Cud would disagree with you. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Dobrze kombinujesz, trzeba ich zmusić do negocjacji.
I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
Dobra, a co chodzi z tą klauzulą zagrożenia?
It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
A necessary evil for the greater good of society.
That's exactly how the board describes it.
No i skorzystali z niej na monarchu.
Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way.
Dobra, pogadajmy o czymś innym. Okej. To chyba tyle. Dobra, chwila przerwy i zaraz do was wracam.